plunge in bond yields. What are the implications of this move today?
Well, I think in many ways this is a hedge, right? So people are looking at U.S. Treasuries as an asset class that has scope to go up in value. It's one of the few in the world that has a nice, good, positive yield and is very, very liquid. But look, I mean, I don't think that it's just about interest rates. I also think that we have to think about the credit conditions in the market and the liquidity conditions in the market. Because effectively, what we need to see to stem this before this becomes a systemic event, which it's not right now, if it impacts the credit market, if this infects the credit market in any way, such that, there's an increase of risk of default, and not just in the large caps, but also in the small and mid-sized businesses, which is, I don't think is getting enough attention because they can't necessarily go directly to the capital markets and issue bonds.
Right. Now, what you're describing would happen because people are worried about the economy. I mean, there's a couple, and we're actually going to talk about this in a few minutes, but there's a couple of places in particular where you say, okay, if you're a travel stock, in particular, if you're an oil and gas company, you might have a cash flow issue. But you say we should broaden out who we're looking at?
Yeah, so effectively, there's two things, right? So yes, I mean, certainly having access to the market is going to matter. But also many of these smaller sized businesses, they don't necessarily, function with like a large balance sheet. A lot of times they go 1 month to the next month to the next month. And if these things falter, then they have a harder time coming back. So when the rebound or when the market's ready for a rebound, they may not be in a good enough condition to actually come back, and that's what we need to avoid.
Andres, it was encouraging to see these headlines from the White House where they're at least trying to say, look, we can tactically try to help the hardest hit parts by considering deferring taxes, for example, for industries like the airlines. Interestingly enough, the airline stocks were positive before that announcement. It didn't react much, if anything, maybe weakened a little bit in the wake of it. Would those kinds of measures do more to help this market than the 75 basis point rate cut that's now priced in for the Fed's meeting in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think this is one of those scenarios where you just can't model, which is why the market's doing what it's doing. Once the market doesn't know how to model it, this is what happens, right? So I think this is a perfect example of why asset allocation is important. To your point about bonds, if you own a 60-40 portfolio and the 40% has actually gone up this year, it helps you take a deep breath and say, you know what? I'm still okay.
I'm just worried about people, and you mentioned this, Jim, and I've seen stories that hedge funds are now piling into treasuries. I mean, now, you better be careful chasing this one where we're at 66 basis points. There's only so much further down we can go.
Yeah, and I would say that if I were to draw a temporary line on the 10-year, I think it's probably around 50 basis points. I do think that the Fed...
You're willing to even go there at this point. We've thrown every other line out the window in the last week.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to go there because I don't think the Fed funds rate really gets materially below 50. I don't think that very, very low rates or even negative rates in the U.S. is a healthy thing. What we need to start to see are more macroprudential policies, so more fiscal measures like that can help and directly help small and mid-sized entities. Like in Europe, they have the TLTROs.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
here it comes.
It extends credit to the real economy, and those are the support mechanisms that we need more so today, or at least the talk of it, so that we can maybe fall back on it as opposed to just low interest
No, you're
rates.
right. It's just anything that makes us look like we're going the way of Europe and Japan is somewhat upsetting.